The laughter erupted like a thunderclap in the cramped economy cabin, slicing through the hum of the engines as a group of suited businessmen pointed at Carter Harlan, the openly lesbian CEO whose face had graced Forbes just weeks ago. "Look at her slumming it back here. Guess being gay doesn't pay as well as they say," one sneered, his voice carrying just loud enough to sting. But it was the elderly woman beside her, with trembling hands and eyes full of quiet fire, who leaned in and pressed a faded envelope into Carter's palm, whispering, "This was meant for you, dear. It's time you knew the truth that could heal your broken heart." Carter stared out the tiny airplane window, the sprawling patchwork of the Midwest fading into clouds as the flight from Chicago to New York climbed higher. At 38, she was the founder and CEO of Harlan Tech, a multimillion-dollar software firm revolutionizing AI for small businesses. Yet here she was, crammed into seat 23B on a budget airline, her long legs awkwardly folded, a worn backpack at her feet instead of the designer luggage she'd left in first class on principle. Economy was her quiet rebellion, a reminder that success didn't erase the grit of her upbringing in a rusty Ohio trailer park. But today it felt like a spotlight. The mockery started subtly. Across the aisle, a cluster of middle-aged men in rumpled suits, sales reps, she guessed, from their matching conference badges, whispered and chuckled. One pulled out his phone, scrolling through what Carter suspected was her recent profile in the Wall Street Journal. "Hey, isn't that the dyke who turned down Google's buyout? What's she doing back here with the peasants?" The word dyke hit like a slap, but Carter kept her gaze fixed on the horizon, her jaw clenched. She'd faced worse. Boardroom snubs, anonymous hate mail, even a leaked photo from her college days kissing her first girlfriend that went viral during her company's IPO. Being out and proud in corporate America meant armor-plated skin. But the jabs escalated, probably saving pennies for her rainbow parade, another quipped, loud enough for nearby passengers to shift uncomfortably. A young mother with a toddler shot Carter a sympathetic glance, but no one intervened. Carter's fingers tightened around her coffee cup, the bitter brew mirroring the bile rising in her throat. Why today? She'd chosen economy to ground herself after a grueling investor meeting where she'd been grilled not just on profits but on her lifestyle choices. As if her orientation affected code algorithms. Then a soft rustle beside her. The elderly woman in 23A, who'd boarded with a cane and a gentle smile, turned to Carter. Her silver hair was pinned neatly, her cardigan embroidered with faded flowers. "Ignore them, honey," she murmured, her voice carrying a faint southern drawl. "Bullies like that are just scared of strong women." Carter managed a tight smile. "Thanks. I'm used to it." But the woman, Eleanor, her boarding pass read, didn't stop there. She reached into her oversized purse, pulling out a yellowed envelope sealed with wax. "This belongs to you," Eleanor said, her eyes misting. "My sister wrote it years ago. She knew you'd find your way to it someday." Carter blinked, confusion cutting through her irritation. "Your sister? I don't understand." Eleanor pressed the letter into her hand. "Read it when you're ready. Her name was Margaret Hayes. She spoke of you often in her letters to me." The name hit Carter like a freight train. Margaret Hayes? The Margaret from her past? Heart pounding, Carter tucked the envelope into her jacket pocket as the plane jolted through turbulence. The businessmen's laughter faded into background noise, but inside a storm brewed. What could this mean? The flight dragged on. Carter tried to work on her laptop, but her mind wandered. Margaret Hayes had been her world back in college at NYU. Fierce, artistic, with a laugh that could light up the darkest dorm room. They'd met in a literature class, bonding over Virginia Woolf and stolen kisses in Washington Square Park. But their love shattered when Margaret's conservative family discovered them. Threats, disownment, and a forced move back to Texas. Carter had begged her to stay, but Margaret vanished, leaving only a cryptic note. "I have to protect us both." That was 15 years ago. Carter had built her empire on the ruins of that heartbreak, dating sporadically but never committing. Was this letter from her? How did Eleanor know? As the plane descended into JFK, Eleanor dozed off, her breathing steady. Carter stole glances at the envelope, its edges frayed with time. The address was in elegant script. "To the one who holds my heart." Cheesy but so Margaret. The businessman deplaned first, one bumping Carter's shoulder accidentally with a smirk. She ignored it, helping Eleanor with her bag instead. "Thank you," Eleanor said, squeezing her arm. "Fate works in funny ways." Carter nodded, her voice thick. "It does." In the terminal, amid the chaos of rushing travelers, Carter found a quiet corner bench. Her hand shook as she broke the seal. The paper inside was thin, covered in Margaret's familiar looping handwriting. "My dearest Carter," it began. "If you're reading this, I've found the courage to tell you everything I couldn't back then. Our love wasn't a mistake, it was my salvation. But there's more you need to know." The words blurred as tears welled. Carter wiped them away, glancing around the bustling airport. New York, her adopted home, pulsed with energy. The honks of yellow cabs outside. The aroma of pretzels from a vendor. But in that moment it all faded. The letter pulled her back to a time when love felt possible, unscarred. Little did she know, it would unravel secrets that could either mend her soul or shatter it anew. Carter leaned back against the cold airport wall, the letter unfolding like a map to buried treasure. Or a minefield. Margaret's words leaped off the page. "I never stopped loving you, Carter. Leaving was the hardest thing I ever did, but my family. They threatened to ruin your scholarship, your future. I couldn't let that happen." Carter's breath caught. All these years she blamed Margaret for cowardice, for abandoning their dreams of a life together in the city. But this? Blackmail from Margaret's parents? It reframed everything. The letter continued, detailing Margaret's life after NYU. She'd returned to Austin, married a man her family approved of, a banker named Tom, to appease them. "It was a prison of politeness," she wrote. "We had 2 children, Emily and Jack, but my heart was always with you. I followed your career from afar, clipping articles about Harlan Tech. You're a force, Carter. I'm so proud." Pride mingled with pain in Carter's chest. Children? A husband? Felt like betrayal, even if forced. But Margaret's tone was raw, vulnerable. "Tom knew the truth eventually. He was kind, but we divorced amicably 5 years ago. The kids are grown now. Emily's in college studying art like I always wanted. She reminds me of us." Carter folded the letter momentarily, her mind flashing to their last night together. Rain-slick streets in Greenwich Village, Margaret's tears mixing with the downpour as she whispered goodbye. "I have to go home," she'd said. Carter had pleaded. "Home is here with me." But Margaret boarded that bus south, and Carter poured her grief into code, building apps that connected people when she felt utterly disconnected. Resuming, Margaret revealed the bombshell. "I have a confession. Emily. She's yours in a way. Not biologically, of course, but I named her after your middle name and she's gay, Carter. Out and proud, fighting for rights in ways we couldn't. She knows about you, I've told her stories. But there's something else. I'm sick. Cancer. The doctors give me months. This letter is my way of making peace. Find Emily. She needs a mentor, a family beyond blood. And forgive me, please. Cancer?" Carter's world tilted. Margaret was dying? The date on the letter was 2 years old. Panic surged. She pulled out her phone, fingers flying over the screen. A quick search. Margaret Hayes' obituary, Austin Chronicle. There it was, passed away 18 months ago, surrounded by family. Carter's knees buckled. She slid to the floor, oblivious to stares. Margaret had written this knowing the end was near, entrusting it to her sister Eleanor to deliver when the time was right. But how had Eleanor found her? On a random flight? Composing herself, Carter texted her assistant. "Cancel meetings. Personal emergency." Then she booked the next flight to Austin. The letter ended with an address. Emily's apartment near UT Austin. Tell her the code word, Wolf. She'll know. Virginia Woolf, their shared idol. Carter's heart ached with what if she'd fought harder? What if Margaret had stayed? The flight to Texas was a blur. Carter sat in first class this time, irony not lost on her, sipping whiskey to steady her nerves. Austin greeted her with humid air and live music spilling from bars on 6th Street. She rented a car, driving to the address. A modest bungalow in a student neighborhood. Bikes chained to porches, rainbow flags fluttering. Knocking, her pulse raced. The door opened to a young woman in her early 20s, with Margaret's curly hair and piercing blue eyes. "Can I help you?" Emily asked, wary. Carter swallowed. "I'm Carter Harlan. Your mother. She sent me." "Wolf." Emily's eyes widened, tears instant. Oh my God. You're her Carter. She pulled Carter into a hug, fierce and unreserved. Come in. Mom talked about you all the time. Inside, the space was eclectic, posters of Frida Kahlo, stacks of sketchbooks. Emily brewed coffee, her hands shaking. She left me letters too about you too. How you met, the poetry you wrote her. She said you were the love of her life. Carter's voice cracked. I thought she'd forgotten me. Emily shook her head. Never. But she was trapped. Grandpa was a monster, old money, old prejudices. When she got sick, she regretted not reaching out sooner. They talked for hours, Emily sharing photos. Margaret at Emily's high school graduation, beaming despite the chemo scarf. She divorced Dad when I came out at 16. Said she wouldn't let history repeat. Carter marveled at the parallels. Emily's activism, her girlfriend Sarah, a law student fighting for LGBTQ rights. Mom wanted you to know your family, Emily said. She left something for you in her will, a painting she did of you both. The painting, unveiled from a closet, stole Carter's breath. Two women under a starry New York sky, hands intertwined. It captured their youth, their hope. Tears flowed freely now. In that moment, Carter felt the weight of years lift, replaced by a tentative warmth. But as night fell, Emily mentioned, there's more. Mom had a friend, Laura. They were close after the divorce. I think. Well, you'll see. Carter's curiosity piqued. Laura. Another layer to Margaret's life? Little did she know, this revelation would lead to unexpected romance and deeper drama. Back in New York, Carter couldn't shake the whirlwind of Austin. The painting hung in her loft apartment overlooking the Hudson, a daily reminder of lost love and newfound connection. Emily and she texted daily. Advice on startups, shared memes about queer icons. It felt like family, mending the isolation Carter had worn like a badge. But the letter's mention of Laura nagged. Who was she? Emily had given a number. Call her. Mom trusted her with everything. Dialing from her corner office at Harlan Tech, Carter hesitated. A warm voice answered. Laura Bennett speaking. Carter introduced herself, voice steady despite the butterflies. Margaret mentioned you in a letter. I'd like to meet if you're open. A pause then. Carter. I've heard so much. I'm in Brooklyn. Coffee tomorrow. They met at a cozy cafe in Park Slope, the kind with exposed brick and artisanal lattes. Laura was striking, mid-40s with short auburn hair. A tattoo peeking from her sleeve, exuding quiet confidence. She was a gallery owner, specializing in queer artists. Margaret and I met through a support group after her divorce, Laura explained, stirring her tea. She was grieving you in a way. We became friends, close friends. The implication hung. More than friends? Carter's heart twisted. Were you? Together? Laura nodded gently. For a time. After Tom, she explored her truth. But it was always platonic at heart. She loved you too much to fully move on. Relief washed over Carter, mixed with envy. Laura shared stories. Margaret's late-night confessions, her pride in Carter's success. She followed your TED Talk on inclusive tech. Cried happy tears. As they talked, a spark ignited Laura's laugh, her passion for art mirroring Margaret's. By the end they exchanged numbers. Let's do this again, Laura said, her eyes lingering. What started as coffee turned into dinners, walks in Central Park. Laura was divorced too. From a high school sweetheart who'd never understood her bisexuality. I came out late, she confided over pasta in Little Italy. Lost friends but gained myself. Carter opened up about the airplane mockery, her guarded heart. Success shields you from some hate but not all. Laura reached across the table, her touch electric. You're more than your title, Carter. Their first kiss happened under autumn leaves in Bryant Park, tentative yet profound. Carter pulled back, whispering, "This feels like fate." Laura smiled. Margaret would approve. Romance bloomed, weekends at Laura's gallery openings, lazy Sundays in bed with the New York Times. Carter introduced her to Emily via video call. The young woman beamed. Mom's matchmaking from beyond. But shadows loomed. At a Harlan Tech gala, Carter brought Laura as her date. Whispers rippled. The CEO's new fling. Another headline? A board member, conservative investor Victor Klein, pulled her aside. Carter, discretion is key. Our stock dipped after that Forbes piece on your personal life. Anger flared. My life isn't a liability. But Victor's eyes narrowed. It could be. Then betrayal struck. Carter's ex, Jordan, an ambitious marketer she dated briefly last year, leaked emails to the press. Private messages from their breakup, twisted to paint Carter as ruthless, using relationships for gain. Headlines screamed, "Lesbian CEO's heartbreaker past exposed." Reporters camped outside her building. Laura stood by her, but tension mounted. "Is this what life with you is like?" Laura asked one night, exhausted from dodging paparazzi. Worse, Emily called in tears. Grandpa saw the news. "He's threatening to sue for Mom's estate, saying you're corrupting me." Old Man Hayes still alive and venomous. Carter flew to Austin again, confronting him at his sprawling ranch. "You destroyed Margaret once. You won't touch Emily," he sneered. "She was weak like you deviants." But Emily stood firm. "I'm proud of who I am, and of Carter." Back in New York, the scandal escalated. Victor pushed for Carter's resignation. The board's concerned about image. In a heated meeting, Carter fought back. "My identity built this company, inclusive, innovative. Fire me and watch it crumble." Supporters rallied, employees staged a walkout in solidarity, rainbow flags waving. Amid the chaos, Laura wavered. "I love you, Carter, but this spotlight, it's suffocating." Carter's heart sank. Was history repeating? Another love lost to prejudice? The boardroom at Harlan Tech crackled with tension, the Manhattan skyline mocking Carter's turmoil through floor-to-ceiling windows. Victor Klein, flanked by two allies, slammed a folder down. "The leaks are damaging our brand. Investors are pulling out." Carter stepped down quietly. "We'll spin it as a sabbatical." Her team stared, a mix of shock and support. Carter rose, her voice steel. "This isn't about leaks. It's about who I am. I've tripled our value in 5 years. If that's not enough, then yes, fire me." The vote was close, but allies prevailed. Victor stormed out, muttering threats. Outside, protesters chanted, "Love is not a liability." Carter addressed them, microphone in hand. "Thank you. This fight is for all of us." Media frenzy intensified, but so did support. Celebrities tweeted solidarity. Stocks rebounded on authenticity bump. Yet personally, cracks deepened. Laura called a break. "I need space, Carter. The constant drama. It's not what I signed up for." Hurt sliced deep. "I thought you understood." Laura sighed. "I do. But I'm still healing from my own battles." They parted tearfully in Laura's gallery, surrounded by paintings of resilient women. Carter wandered Brooklyn streets, rain mirroring her despair. Was love always this fragile? Then a twist. Jordan, the ex, reached out anonymously via email. "Meet me. I have proof it wasn't me." Suspicious, Carter agreed to a neutral spot. A diner in Queens. Jordan arrived disheveled, eyes darting. "Victor paid me to leak those emails. He doctored them too. Added lies about you cheating." Rage boiled. "Why?" Jordan shrugged. "He wants control of the company. Hates your agenda." Proof. Screenshots of payments, altered files. Carter took it to her lawyers. The scandal flipped. Board member orchestrates smear against LGBTQ CEO. Victor was ousted, sued for defamation. Justice tasted sweet but hollow without Laura. Emily flew in for support. Mom would say fight for love. Inspired, Carter drove to Laura's apartment, heart pounding. Laura opened the door, surprised. "Carter." Words tumbled. "I get it, the chaos. But you're my calm. Victor's gone. Things will settle. Please give us a chance." Laura hesitated, then pulled her inside. "I missed you." They talked through the night, rebuilding trust. But as dawn broke, Laura confessed. "There's something I haven't told you. Margaret and we were more than friends briefly. After her diagnosis, it was comfort, nothing deep. I felt guilty not saying sooner." The revelation stung like a fresh betrayal. "Why now?" Carter demanded. Laura teared up. "I was scared you'd see me as a replacement." Emotions clashed. Anger, understanding. Margaret's ghost loomed. Carter stormed out, needing air. She wandered to the High Line, elevated park buzzing with joggers and tourists. Sitting on a bench, she reread the letter. Forgive me, Margaret had pleaded. Forgiveness, was that the key? Days blurred in solitude. Emily mediated via calls. Laura's good for you. Mom wouldn't want grudges. Finally, Carter returned. It hurts, but I get it. Life's messy. They embraced, vowing honesty. Romance reignited, stronger. Therapy sessions, boundaries set. But high drama peaked at Emily's surprise visit with Sarah. Over dinner in Carter's loft, Sarah revealed, I'm interning at a firm handling Hayes estate. Grandpa's contesting Mom's will. Claims undue influence from outsiders like you. The old man's final strike. Court loomed, dredging up Margaret's past. Their love exposed in affidavits. Tabloids feasted. Lesbian love triangle in inheritance battle. The trial in Austin was a circus. Hayes snarled from the stand. Margaret was coerced into that lifestyle. Carter testified calmly. Love isn't coercion. It's choice. Emily's testimony sealed it. Mom chose happiness late in life. Carter is family. The judge ruled in their favor, estate intact, including a trust for LGBTQ youth. Victorious but drained, Carter proposed a getaway. Laura agreed. As they boarded a flight to California, first class together, the irony hit. No mockery this time, just peace. The California coast unfolded like a dream. Highway 1 winding past crashing waves and redwood sentinels. Carter and Laura drove with the top down, wind tousling their hair, laughter drowning out the radio. Big Sur's cliffs mirrored their journey. Rugged, resilient. At a seaside inn they watched sunsets, hands linked. This is us, Carter whispered. No more ghosts. Laura nodded, her kiss sealing the promise. Back in New York, life normalized. Harlan Tech thrived under Carter's leadership, launching a foundation for queer entrepreneurs. Emily graduated, moving to Brooklyn with Sarah. Family dinners became tradition. The old wounds scarred over but beautifully like kintsugi pottery. Yet reflection brought depth. Carter penned a memoir, Letters from the Sky, donating proceeds to cancer research. It chronicled not just romance, but resilience against bigotry. Reviews praised its humanity, a testament to love's endurance in America's divided heart. One crisp fall day, Carter visited Margaret's grave in Austin. Kneeling, she placed flowers. Thank you for Emily, for Laura, for teaching me forgiveness. A breeze stirred as if in reply. Eleanor, now a pen pal, sent photos of her garden. Sis would be proud. The story's true end came at a quiet wedding, Carter and Laura, in a Hudson Valley orchard. Emily officiated, voice steady. In honor of those who paved the way. Vows exchanged. Through drama and doubt, I choose you. Guests cheered, friends, family, even reformed colleagues. No betrayal lingered, only growth. Years later, Carter looked back. The airplane mockery? A catalyst. The letter? A bridge to healing. In America's tapestry, flawed, vibrant. Love won humanely. As seasons turned, Carter and Laura built a life intertwined with purpose. They adopted a rescue dog, named Wolf, who bounded through their shared brownstone. Weekends involved gallery hops and activism. Marching in pride, mentoring youth like Emily once was. Harlan Tech's inclusive policies became industry standard, inspiring copycats from Silicon Valley to Wall Street. Challenges arose as they do. A health scare for Laura, echoing Margaret's fate, but early detection triumphed. Carter's vulnerability deepened their bond. We're in this together, Laura affirmed during recovery. Emily and Sarah's engagement brought joy. Carter walked Emily down the aisle, tears of pride flowing. The memoir's success led to speaking tours. In packed auditoriums, Carter shared, society mocks what it fears, difference, authenticity. But one act of kindness, like a stranger's letter, can rewrite narratives. Audiences nodded, stories shared in Q&A. Your book helped me come out. Impact rippled, humanizing the struggle. Eleanor visited annually, swapping tales over tea. You gave my sister closure, she said. Carter replied. She gave me family. In quieter moments, Carter pondered America's contradictions. Progress amid prejudice, love conquering hate. The story wasn't fairy tale perfect. Scars remained, but it was real, redemptive. As she and Laura aged gracefully, watching sunrises from their porch, Carter knew. From economy seat scorn to heartfelt union, transformation was possible. Humanity prevailed.